Graf with Talk About Trek, and I'm back again after my short break, having jumped into Star Trek Voyager, Caretaker. So, I've been wanting to get into the Voyager series for a while. I wasn't too excited about reading a novelization because I want to get into a new story, as quick as I can. But there's just no way that I can start the numbered series and then not read number one. Even though I know the story, and we all know the story, and we've seen the story dozens and dozens of times if you're me. But Caretaker, of course, is the I don't know what I'm trying to say, the premiere episode of Star Trek Voyager. And Caretaker here, the novelization, is written by L.A. Graf. And I've read a lot of stuff by L.A. Graf. And L.A. Graf, of course, is a pen name for, let me see here, Julia, wait, yeah, Julia and Karen Rose. That's their first names. But they are the group that has joined together to form the pseudonym L.A. Graf, which is kind of funny, stands for Let's All Get Rich and Famous. So, I've read many other Trek books in the past, and they've always done a good job, which is another one of the reasons why I was happy to jump into a book, even knowing that I know what the story is, because it's just going to be well written and well done, because these authors know what they're doing. So, happy to get into it for that. So, I guess let's first just kind of take a look at the cover. As you can see, just a simple stock cast photo. Tuvok and the Doctor there in the back, with Kim and Neelix and Kes and Torres, Paris, Captain Janeway, and Chakotay. Caretaker, a novel by L.A. Graf. Based on a script by Michael Piller and Jerry Taylor, story by Rick Berman and Michael Piller and Jerry Taylor. So, a couple of things before we get into it. Caretaker. So I guess what I liked about this is the authors, they didn't see the episode. They didn't really know anything about the show, of course. They were given the script, and they had to write the book based on the script. But then they were able to call in some, they say here, they were able to call in some fan spy favors because the manuscript had to be finished before the pilot aired. So they were able to find out a few things, like what the ship looked like, what some of the uniforms, the characters looked like, to make the book as realistic as possible. So I thought that was kind of interesting, too, just knowing that this was their take, kind of their view, without getting to know too much about these characters, and I think that their take was really good. They did a great job. So let's jump right into the book here. A new legend is born. Star Trek Voyager. Legendary for sure. With an exclusive 8-page photo insert, which we will be sure to look at. Now, from the back, more than any other television show, more than any other motion picture series, Star Trek has for nearly 30 years been the most popular space adventure of all time. Now, Star Trek Voyager joins Star Trek The Next Generation, and Star Trek Deep Space Nine as the newest star in the ever-expanding Star Trek universe. Pocket Books is proud to present the novelization of Caretaker, the premiere episode of Star Trek Voyager. This is the story of Captain Janeway and the crew of the starship Voyager, transported by the alien technology. That sentence doesn't sound right to me. I'm going to read it one more time. Transported by the alien technology to the other side of the galaxy, years away from the Federation and everything they call home, their voyage back will be a fantastic odyssey that will take them through uncharted space, into dangers as they travel where no one has gone before. Nice. That's cool. That's a really good, that's a cool back. I like that. It gets you hyped for Voyager, Also available from Simon & Schuster Audio. And anyway, if you do get the audio book, or the audio version of this, narrated by the Doctor himself, Robert Picardo. So, I mean, that would be a fun experience, Another way to experience the Voyager premiere. So you've seen it, you've read it, now you can listen to it too if you'd like. So, yeah, Caretaker, a novel by L.A. Graf. Uh, it was a good novelization. I mean, like it. Of course, it's like word for word. There's nothing changed. There's nothing different about the story, and we've all seen. I mean, I've seen Caretaker many, many times, and of course, I even watched it again. What I did is I watched it maybe about up till about 30 minutes were left, and then I finished reading the book. Or I started and then finished reading the book, and then I finished watching it just before we put the video on here today. So um, it was good. I mean, it still holds up for me, and the novelization just holds up as a fun story, a great introduction to these characters, and of course you're dealing with kind of some weird, you're at the beginning. I mean, for me, I guess what I'm trying to say is I liked it better when the characters kind of meshed more, but this was just the beginning, so they're kind of just getting started with that. But it gets, introduced to all the characters. And of course, with the novelization, you're getting more than just the scene. You're getting the thoughts, inside kind of view of what the characters are thinking, and all that stuff. So that is what adds to it. And what the authors were saying in the book here was that there wasn't really enough material in the script to fill out and flesh like a whole novelization. So what they had to do was to flesh that out through, the characters' thoughts and their feelings and that kind of thing, which they were able to do really well. And to do well also, not knowing who these characters were. I mean, these are all new characters, but I don't feel that like they took anyone out of character for who they were and who they kind of came to be. So I better check my notes to see if I made some notes on this, because I didn't feel I had to really write down the story very much, just kind of what kind of stuck out to me as the things that the book covered that weren't really covered, or that you didn't know about from watching. So, what do you learn from the novelization? Well, first off, you get to learn more about the characters that basically died right away. So you have the first officer, Lieutenant Commander Cavett, who just kind of is briefly in the beginning of the episode, in the book, of course, and is kind of rude to Tom Paris, and that's kind of his whole thing. And actually, that's kind of the whole thing. It's kind of funny, though. The whole thing with all three of the kind of the dead characters that are the bridge officers or whatever, are all kind of interacting with Tom Paris in the beginning. The other one, of course, is the Betazoid pilot, who brings Tom Paris to the Voyager in the beginning, and is also like the con officer of the ship. That is Lieutenant Stoddy. And then lastly is the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Fitzgerald. So those are the names that they're given here in the book, and I think they're given other names in other books down the road. But, I mean, for me, it was kind of interesting to get to know at least a little bit more about these characters and who they were, even though they don't give you too much. One thing, though, that they do to fill out the beginning of the story, which was interesting and kind of pretty dark, really, was to... So, we all know what happens, of course. The Voyager has been called in to pursue the Maquis, right? So they're going to be chasing the Maquis into the Badlands. They've got Tom Paris out of his penal colony to help track down Chakotay. Tuvok is undercover, of course, with the Maquis right now, aboard Chakotay's ship. The book starts out with Chakotay's ship being kind of followed by some Cardassians, loses the Cardassians in the Badlands, and then is whisked away to the Delta Quadrant, right? We all know the story. But Voyager's called in, they're whisked away as well. We're introduced to the Caretaker. But before all that, the authors add something very interesting to the story. Again, kind of dark, but cool. Just they give you the actual death scenes for each of these characters, so you can kind of know a little bit more about who they are before they die. So at least, yeah, I think they do. Yeah, all three of them, they get this kind of extensive scene of what's happening right as they get transported through, and the explosions are going off, and everything that goes down up to the moments that all three of these characters die. So that was really well done, and it just kind of adds something to these characters that were just kind of like glossed over initially. But now that just it gives something more to that. So that was very well done. And then we again jump into the story as we know, and they go to visit the array, and of course it's all set up to look like an old-fashioned farm, and they're all offered lemonade and corn on the cob, and they do some looking around, and eventually they do find inside the barn the crew, the Maquis crew. They track them down, and that's when they're all kind of transported away to their test tables. And this was another plot or part, I guess, that the book was able to kind of elucidate on more, where they had these. It was scary enough to watch, but reading it too was kind of freaky, because you're thinking, or the scene is where they're all strapped down to these tables and they can't move, and these needles are just slowly lowering into their chest. So instead of just having to see it, you can also kind of get inside, and I think it was Captain Janeway's mind as she was having this happen to her. So I thought that was very well done, and again, just another point where they could take and kind of stretch out what they read in the script and make something a little bit more about it. So after that, of course, they're whisked off and they're sent back to the Voyager and sent away, and they discover that the Voyager is missing Harry Kim, and the Maquis are currently missing B'Elanna Torres. So they have to kind of work together to figure out what's going on, and they're going to head back, or they're going to head towards the planet that is receiving the energy blasts from the array. So on the way there, of course, we meet the wonderful Neelix. So this is my bookmark for this book. Tuvok and Neelix. Tuvok and Neelix are some of my favorite characters in Voyager, and like their relationship, the whole thing is good. Oh, it's going well. Thanks for watching. And this, like I said, this came out of one of my little day-to-day calendars, so I always keep the little ones if they're it's always good when like you're doing and it ties into what you're reading, then you can put it in there. But anyway, what I'm getting at is another part of what makes this novelization great is what it does to the initial meeting between Tuvok and Neelix, because it kind of takes what is just a very short, couple of minute scene. Yeah, I agree. And what it does is it makes it into you get to know so much more about Tuvok's kind of thought process as he's going through meeting Neelix and everything there. So what's really great about that is you get to see exactly how much restraint he has to have. Just at first when he meets Neelix in the transporter room. But it really comes to a head when he has to get Mr. Neelix from his quarters. Which is just a very funny scene in itself, because Neelix is basically in a sector of the galaxy where they don't have any water, and now Voyager can just replicate water at hand for him. So he's in there in a bathtub. He's got pitchers of water filled up everywhere, and Tuvok has got to go in there and he's got to get him out. So for him, it's like abhorrent. It's like the worst thing he could possibly think to try to do. But so you get to see his kind of thought process as he's going through that, and he's kind of working through dealing with Mr. Neelix's eccentricities and all that, and also just having to look at him getting out of the bathtub, and just like, it's just everything that he doesn't want to do, but he has to put up with. So I just love how this kind of starts, and then also knowing the payoff in the end too is also really great. So that was really well done. Uh, oh, also the way that they wrote the doctor's program. So they gave you like a couple inside looks at how the holographic doctor, kind of his processes worked. You know, how he kind of worked through different things. So, and I thought that was pretty interesting too, because it was just kind of like, it was kind of like a computer language almost, just going through different sensors, different things. But I mean, that is how this would work. So a few interesting chapters there that kind of.
The United States is English.
Oh, I gotta remember to turn that thing off when I'm talking. Thank you, thank you. I have my little Alexas there tuned to that word, so I have to be careful. So anyway, getting more backstory in this is really what made this fun. Again, we all know the story, so I'm not going to keep going on in what happened in Caretaker here. But again, just them being able to flesh out, I guess each part that they were able to flesh out was good, but in particular, when they had Harry Kim and Torres waking up sick with the Ocampa, you know, getting to see their inside views there kind of adds a lot to it. And then also, just I guess the written description too is kind of nice to get that. Uh, and it was kind of different than I think how it played out on the screen as well. But I can see how that would be too. So. And I think when you're reading it and you're imagining it, you know, that's an entirely different thing as well. So that was really well done. And just, I guess there was nothing additional that was added to this. You know, so there's nothing more other than you're just getting the inside thoughts. But it is word for word the episode here. So, but they did a great job. And I will say I'm happy that I was able to read it. And like I said, there's no way that I could not read it and just jump into number 2, which is one I'm really excited about, because basically I want to get into the new original Voyager stories. I've been reading the TNG books now, and I've got, I think I'm up to like 40 or something in that. So that's a good point now. I need to start dipping into the other numbered series more, which is also fun because it means that I get to start looking around more to shop for more books and find some more deals, you know, to fill in the blanks when I need to. So that'll be good. Before we stop talking about this, we need to look at the exclusive 8-page photo insert inside, which will probably ruin the focus on me, but it'll be the end for now, so that'll be okay. We'll see if there's anything in here that may be exclusive to this novelization here. So here we have Captain Janeway and Paris and Kim coming on board. Hey, not bad. Okay, this is actually kind of some good shots here on this one. So we've got Robert Picardo here, the Doctor. Here's when they first go to the farm. And then here's kind of a good creepy shot of them all strapped to the table. I'm not going to get that in there. Let's go the right way here. There we are. And everybody gets sick at home. Here we go. Kind of a creepy shot there of them all getting the needles in them. Okay. So here now with the Ocampa. Mr. Neelix, Mr. Tuvok, You know what? I guess I was watching the episode just recently, but I don't recall this character here. I'm going to have to go back and look and see who this guy is. He looks like he's got an all burnt up face. And I don't remember that one single bit. Okay, in the last pictures we have Janeway with the character, or the caretaker. Here they are finally escaping from the tunnel into the sun, and the new enemy, the Kazon Ogla. I was never a big fan of the Kazon as an enemy. I mean, honestly, they kind of sucked. They were not like the best enemy in a Star Trek series, but luckily Voyager did come across plenty of other great enemies along their time. So they got away from the Kazon, and they were able to meet plenty more people. So here we have Voyager and Maquis crew united as one, a Starfleet crew, ready to begin their voyage. So, yeah, the Caretaker. Very good. Very fun. But now that it's done, even better, I'm able to move on to... See, look, and I messed up that focus. No, come back. Anyway, I am able to move on to Star Trek Voyager number 2, The Escape. And this is written by Dean Wesley Smith and Christine Catherine Roosh. And I've read several of their books as well. I think just a few weeks ago they were part of the Invasion series. They wrote the Voyager one even. So definitely looking forward to getting into that one. And it looks fairly light, coming in at like 244. So maybe we'll be back midweek even to talk about The Escape, which would be fun. So glad to be getting back into these books again after taking you take a little break every now and then, you need to get back into them again. So, but we're going to start The Escape tonight because that sounds good. So, anything else that I should say about this book? Well, I guess just it's, like I said, interesting because they wrote it based off the script, and I think they just did so well in getting the characterization right. So great job there. As always, L.A. Graf knocks it out of the park. So, yeah, that's it. I have nothing further to say about Caretaker, so we're going to end it right there and get ready to go read The Escape. And anyway, I'm terribly out of focus, and I'm going to have to fix that. So, as always, everybody, live long and prosper, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.